Hey sons, happy Friday. Wanted to bring you into my backyard just to give you a little piece of kind of what helps keep me healthy. Kind of makes my heart tick, some things that I've learned about myself over the years, and for you there might be some value in this. So anyway, this is my backyard. We almost did not buy this particular house 20 years ago because the backyard was so small and there was not even hardly room for a swing set back here. You know, we pictured throwing footballs and having soccer games and such. And anyway, we just had to find other ways with our kids to enjoy being outside. But kids are gone now. And about 3 years ago, I started feeling a need for beauty in my backyard. I hate having a space that is just ugly. It's just dead. Truth be told, when I go to people's houses or, when I go run along the streets here and I can see into people's backyards and it just looks like a wasteland, I think that is likely, in some ways, don't take this the wrong way, a reflection of what is going on inside a man's heart. And I say that through my own personal lens and through the filter of my personal need for beauty. One of the things that God's revealed to me in the last couple of years that is in contrast to what I learned incorrectly growing up as a man. And I learned that beauty was for women and productivity was for men. I don't know, something along those lines. And so I spent a lot of years disregarding or putting a cheap price tag on beauty for me. But what I've come to realize is that every single thing that I do, it has to begin with beauty, how important it is. Like, I am willing to spend more money on a piece of meat, San Antonio International Airport, traffic. I'm willing to spend more piece of money on a meal if the atmosphere is beautiful and restful. And so even though I don't have much of a backyard, it is actually critical for me to be able to walk back here and feel to a degree that I am stepping into my identity. And, one of the things that over the last 3-4 years of, trying to learn how to keep a pepper plant alive is that if I'm curious and I ask God, how is my curation of this garden similar to your curation of my heart? How am I like a plant? Because, biblically, I've had so much time to reflect on the reality that our story, by God's design, begins in a garden. We were brought out of the wild, into a garden. We were introduced to the beauty of the garden by God, and then given the mandate to rule and subdue and to learn how that garden grows as God intended, and then expand that garden into the rest of the world. We have done a terrible job of that, but I have come to believe that if I just keep growing a garden every year, God is going to continue speaking to me about what he intended from Genesis chapter 1 and, in John, where Jesus talks about his father, our Father, being the gardener, and that we are branches and that we're grafted into him. Well, when I grow a tomato plant or a pepper plant or lettuce or carrots, I'm learning some valuable intel and data into how I best grow. Just to see the seasons effect on plants, that there are just seasons that are full of abundance, and then there's other seasons like down here in Texas where the heat is 105 degrees for up to 45, 60 days in a row, and you just can't grow anything. You can barely keep something alive in it. But I have felt the mercy of God that there are seasons in our life where it's all about survival. Truth be told, 2023 for me was about surviving. Last summer, where I grew almost nothing in my garden back here, that was a reflection of the season that I was in. And as I prayed about, God's interpretation of 2023, he showed me a bunch of green tomato plants, but no fruit on them at all, and pepper plants with no fruit. So, do I use this to sustain my family? No. I mean, every once in a while, I can come out here and I can clip the things I need to make hot sauce, which brings me incredible joy. Is this a moneymaker? Absolutely not. I can go to the grocery store and buy what I produce out of my garden for a fraction of the cost. But, you know, as Heather and I were budgeting this year, she just knew you don't mess with Jay's gardening budget because it's worth it. Like, I would go and I would buy a piece of art and I would put it up in my house, or I would go and I would buy flowers. Those are investments to make life beautiful and more full of life and rest and peace. Well, I'm just creating a piece of art back here that feeds my soul every day. It's therapy for me to come back here and to prune and to get in touch with the way things are. If I don't prune the garden, it doesn't produce fruit. If I don't weed, if I don't water, if I don't protect, if I don't fertilize, it cuts back on the productivity. And every time, like I said, it makes me reflect on the habitat that I'm creating for my own soul. What am I doing to nourish it? What needs to be cut back in my life so that I'm producing the fruit that God intends? So I may be shooting some, some of these Friday dispatches from back here in my garden, just as I consider the way that God has made us as his sons and how he as a father comes and he nourishes us and he wants us to bear fruit. I spend time back here with my father and we love it. So I have to create a new garden bed. This has lasted for a few years, but you can see it's beginning to fall apart. So now I'm taking measurements and I'm going to try and create one that's the same size, if not even a little bit bigger. And we're going to see if we can take the lessons we've learned in the last few years and make something beautiful. So anyway, welcome to my backyard. And what is it that you do that creates a place of beauty that your soul can be nourished in day after day? I'd love to hear your ideas because I'm always looking for new ideas. All right. Have a good weekend, guys.